Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a police officer approaching a suspicious van to investigate it. As he approaches, he grabs his flashlight. Suddenly, a group of zombies start slowly approaching him from behind. He gets assaulted and slain by the 3 zombies out of nowhere. Elsewhere, SEAL Team 6 welcomes A.J. Prescott as their newest recruit. Petty Officer First Class Carl warns him that it will be difficult for him, because he is replacing a well-loved SEAL member, who was killed in combat near the Pakistan border, after getting separated from the rest of the unit. Carl becomes emotional as he recalls the difficulty he faced when the tragedy occurred. Despite the pressure, A.J. promises to commit to proving himself worthy of being on this team. Next, A.J. returns home to his pregnant wife. When asked if the SEAL squad is capable of keeping him safe, A.J. tells her that the SEALs are the greatest. Next, Amanda, a reporter in Louisiana, shows dismay after being assigned to cover Vice President Bentley's press conference. Dave, her co-worker, tells her that this is their job, and they must do it well. She says the Vice President fails to respond to her questions. After delivering a brief address, the government official takes questions from the press. Amanda raises her hand to ask. As expected, the Vice President ignores her, since he is aware that she would ask tricky questions. During the press conference, agents on the exterior of the building observe a suspicious person. One agent is dispatched to investigate, but the culprit is not located. As the press presentation concludes, Bentley and his team members exit the building, just in time to see a woman being assaulted by a zombie. Before carrying the Vice President back inside for safety, one Secret Service agent shoots and kills the zombie. People outside the building are besieged by zombies, while the Secret Service team rushes to keep the Vice President safe. After becoming infected, they mutate into zombies. While A.J. is spending time with his wife, he receives a call instructing him to report to the base. There is no other information provided. He informs his wife that he is unsure of the mission, and has no idea when he will return. Lieutenant Commander Scheer briefs the SEALs on what happened in Baton Rouge. However, it is unclear what started the virus that turns people into zombies. They are reminded that the Vice President is in the state capital. They are also informed a distress call was issued, and the FBI's Special Hostage Rescue Team was dispatched. However, the team has not returned to provide an update. Lieutenant Commander Scheer briefs them on their objective, which is to save the Vice President from the Capitol building. The team is reminded of the enormity of the work at hand. Lieutenant Pete Cunningham is given the last instructions. Pete informs the crew of the Vice President's last known location, and the official's code name. They are warned against using heavier weaponry. There is no confirmation that the Vice President is still in the area, because they are unable to speak with the Secret Service officials. Nevertheless, they are still compelled to go and verify the situation for themselves. The SEALs gear up for the mission, and parachute into Baton Rouge. When the team arrives, they begin searching the building, which appears to be vacant. In order to find the Vice President, the crew relocates to another site. The SEALs, along with the reporters and a few Secret Service personnel, eventually locate Bentley. The Vice President informs them that one of their guys has been seriously injured. Petty Officer First Class Billy, the team's medic, attends to the Vice President, before checking on the handcuffed agent. It turns out that he has been bitten by a zombie, and the infection is already taking effect. However, he has not been killed, hoping there will be a cure. The ex-agent loses his composure, and overwhelms both Pete and Billy. At this point, another agent shoots him in the head, before things get out of hand. Pete approaches Commander Scheer to inquire about the expected arrival time of the helicopter that is meant to transport them. The commander reminds Pete that his top job is to protect the Vice President, while waiting for the helicopter. Meanwhile, CIA agent Stacy Thomas conveys her understanding of their current situation. Agent Thomas informs Commander Scheer the scenario is a biological attack, and that she has an asset on the scene, who may be able to reverse the infection. Her most valuable asset, along with her workers, must be evacuated. Scheer's men are their only hope of getting to safety. Scheer is persuaded, and tells Pete to stay a bit longer, because other subjects require their assistance. He also orders Pete to make sure no one is infected, because then they will be forced to kill. Thomas informs Scheer they are dealing with a biological agent. A zombie-like virus capable of weaponizing humans. Scheer instructs his men to close all entrances and exits to the Capitol. That is the only way to keep the infection at bay. Pete informs the Vice President that he and his team will be required to be on the roof, in order to prepare for evacuation. He also inquires as to whether anyone has been bitten. Although no one acknowledges being afflicted, Margaret, one of Bentley's employees, appears to be ill. Since they do not yet know the stages of infection, They cannot confirm whether she is infected or not, so they leave her alive. She goes to the toilet to freshen up. It is here that we discover that she has wounds on her hands, which she tries to clean with water. Outside the building, AJ requests permission to shoot the zombies, who are still attacking citizens. Pete reminds him that the #1 goal is to keep the vice president safe, so he refuses to give them permission, as doing so would jeopardize their position, and zombies would start attacking the building. Moments later, one zombie approaches Chief Petty Officer Travis' position. He requests an order, but it is too late for him to answer. As a result, he gets bitten. Billy is dispatched to Travis's aid, but the cop succumbs to the sickness and dies. An FBI rescue team member transforms into a zombie, and attacks the vice president's staff. Pete grabs the infected agent's back, and shoots the zombie in the head. Pete receives word that the helicopter is on its way. Amanda persuades Dave to stay, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for both of them. Dave is initially hesitant, but ultimately decides to stay. When Amanda informs Pete she and Dave will not be boarding the aircraft, the officer informs them no more assistance will be arriving. The vice president and his team board a helicopter, and depart. The chopper crashes not long after, implying one of the vice president's staff members, who was bitten, transformed into a zombie and attacked them. Scheer orders Pete to rescue the scientists from the lab. They are the only ones who can put an end to the outbreak. The officer gives his men instructions on the new duty at hand. He authorizes them to shoot anyone who appears to be a threat or is sick. Pete also directs AJ to take care of the 2 reporters. The SEALs embark on their new mission to save the scientists. After being ambushed by a swarm of zombies, AJ and the 2 reporters get separated from the rest of the squad. Pete refuses to return, since he believes AJ will be traveling to the extraction site. Despite being followed by zombies, the remaining SEALs successfully reach their destination. They instantly head to the upper floors to look for the scientists, once they are safely inside the building. They speak with a security guard named Larry, who shows them the way to their destination. In addition, Larry informs them the area is infested with zombies. AJ and the 2 reporters make their way to the intended destination. He notices an infected child approaching them. Dave begs him to shoot before she approaches too closely. He hesitates before firing, dropping his weapon. He promises that he will not harm her. She suddenly attacks and bites his arm. Feeling the effects of the virus, he contacts his wife, and assures her, despite his weakness, that he is fine. He requests she patch him via the base. Before the airspace is restricted, AJ is told to proceed to the secondary objective. Rebecca, Agent Thomas' asset, is ultimately discovered by the SEALs. Rebecca informs the crew there is currently no cure for the sickness, but she believes that a vaccine can be developed. She simply requires a sample from one of the zombies. Commander Scheer has given the soldiers the order to destroy any bridges, and block all exits leading out of the city, in order to prevent the sickness from spreading across the country. AJ, Dave and Amanda are getting closer to the location where they will be evacuated. Dave is ambushed and killed by a zombie that arrives from nowhere. Meanwhile, one of the zombies provides a sample for the SEALs. The scientist informs them she only requires 2 minutes before they may depart. The squad notices AJ and Amanda outside, as they prepare to leave the building. Pete appears to be more interested in leaving the building, now that he is under pressure from his commander. He emphasizes the importance of returning the scientist to base as directed. Carl offers to contact AJ and Amanda. Pete promises him he will keep the helicopter for them. Scheer is upset that Pete is delaying the rescue helicopter for the 2, and assures his bosses that they will arrive on time. Later, Carl is able to reach Amanda and AJ. They are assaulted by zombies on their way to the pickup spot, but Carl remains back, and holds them off, finally sacrificing himself, giving them enough time to reach the landing zone and rejoin the rest of the team. The remaining survivors are preparing to board without Carl at the landing zone. When Pete invites AJ to board the chopper, AJ explains that he is infected, and will remain behind. Pete pulls out his gun, and shoots at some zombies that are running in their direction. He orders AJ to board the chopper, but the team's newest member resists, since he does not want to infect anyone. Pete urges him to accompany them, claiming he will not abandon him again, and the scientist on board may have a treatment for the sickness. Billy also threatens AJ that if he stays, he will remain. AJ eventually caves and boards the helicopter. When the rescue helicopter is exiting the building, it can be observed that missiles are hammering Baton Rouge, killing the zombies on the ground. Next, CIA agent Stacy Thomas meets with senators to discuss the recent breakout that threatened her life, as well as the lives of all members of the squad. It is also revealed that AJ and the other Navy SEALs are resistant to the disease, due to shots that change their molecular composition. These shots were of the 5-scale intensive 7 series sort, and they were intended to immunize them against the deadly virus. AJ reconnects with his wife Emily. He decides on a name for his baby, which will be Carl, in honor of his comrade. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.